This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, since the last time that I've seen you, earlier today, the Knicks picked up a big win versus the Denver Nuggets. Yes, they beat them 116-110. And ladies and gentlemen, say whatever you want to say, think whatever you want to think. This was a huge win for the Knicks. A huge win. And just to think, a couple of days ago, when the Knicks were on that 3-game losing streak, people started to get a little bit antsy. Now the Knicks are back on a 2-game win streak. A big win over the Denver Nuggets. And man, I mean, listen, they started off the game. You guys seen it. So I'm not really speaking to the choir here, but you guys seen it. And the Knicks came out to a blazing start. Right? They came out to a blazing start. And you felt good, but I think most of us probably knew the Denver Nuggets were going to make a run and come back, which they did. Then they took a double-digit lead. And the Knicks were able to battle back from that double-digit lead, ladies and gentlemen, and secure themselves a victory with good contributions from across the floor. And, you know, I love the fact when the Knicks beat teams, good teams especially, when the game isn't perfect. You know what I mean? When the game is not perfect and they win anyway. Because that really says to me that they're a good basketball team. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about this. We're going to break it down. We're going to ask a couple of questions. I got my man T. Crow in the building. As soon as he's settled, you know, we'll get him in here. But I want to take a lot of phone calls. I want to get your questions. I want to, you know, hear your thoughts and your feelings about the Knicks beating the Denver Nuggets and how good you think this Knicks team is. Because, well, let me get Tony in here, and then we'll start to really chop it up, ladies and gentlemen, because we got to ask that question. How good is this basketball team, or how good can they be as they finish the rest of the season? Because they beat a lot of top teams in the league, and today's win over the Nuggets was just another one. So let's get my man in the building. Tony, what's poppin' with you, my brother? How are you feeling after today's win over the Denver Nuggets?
Feeling good, Sim. Feeling good. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black, it's time. Man, this is one of the best wins of the season. I mean, best team in the West.
Mm-hmm.
One of the top 2-3 teams in the league.
In the league.
By the record.
Right.
And we came in and had a complete team effort. We needed the whole team.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like everybody get a piece of the game ball tonight.
Right. I mean, 24 points and 5 assists from Jalen Brunson. RJ Barrett, 21 points, 4 rebounds. Julius Randle, 20 points and 7 rebounds. Josh Hart, 13 points and 8 rebounds. You know, like you said, contributions from all over the board. Your thoughts on Jalen Brunson's play? How did Jalen Brunson look to you coming off the injury?
I mean, obviously off the back, he looked. It looked like he was going for 50, right?
It did. Right. Looked like,
you know what I mean? Obviously settled down and didn't have quite the rest of the game, second, third, fourth quarter, like he did, like he came out. But like I was saying, we needed that from him in that moment. You know, he not coming out and having that kind of first quarter. Who knows where the game would have went? How the game would have went?
Right.
So we needed that in that moment, and then throughout the game, everybody had a part. He looked good though. He looked good. I don't. Somebody mentioned it on one of the announcers. Maybe it was the adrenaline of coming back, and why he performed the way he did coming
That,
into the
yeah,
first relative to the rest of the game. But
that happens.
hey, he looked good. You know what I mean? He led. He had some moments down the stretch or throughout the game where you know what I mean. Like he wasn't. He still got to get his win back and things like that.
Right.
But coming into that first quarter, great,
Yeah.
great, great effort.
And that happens, when a player is out for a little while and then they come back. Your adrenaline is pumping. And sometimes, I mean, he wasn't out for so long that he's going to lose it. But I've seen a lot of times when players have been out for, a month and a half, and they come back in their first game or maybe even first two games, it's like they're hitting, knocking down everything, right? It's the adrenaline, the excitement of being back. And then you see them fall a little bit, right? Before they start to come back up and play to the level that they're going to play. I don't think that's going to happen with Brunson because he hasn't been out for that long. You know what I mean? So I think he'll be okay. And I think maybe in the first quarter when Brunson went out, I heard him on the telecast say it looks like he's maybe limping a bit when he's walking out. Did you see anything to make you feel like his ankle was it's not fully healed? I can tell you that 100%. It's not fully healed. A sprained ankle it takes a while. But did you see anything to worry you at all?
He didn't look like he was laboring like prior to him being out. You know what I mean? Where it was visible, play in and play out that like it's something not right. So
Right.
I will say that. But I did notice him coming off the court, a little sluggish or whatever. I took that to him not playing in 6-7 games or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then playing a great adrenaline filled first quarter. So yeah, now you walking off and you start to feel the pain, feel the tired legs and things of that nature.
Right. The adrenaline drops a little bit. You know what I mean? And then the pain starts to kick in, as you start to settle down. It's the same way, man, you could be running a sprint and you feel all right the whole time you're running that sprint. But when you stop running, that's when all of a sudden you're like, you feel tired. You know what I mean? And you can't catch your wind. Same thing sometimes happens when it comes to, any kind of injury. You know what I mean? The adrenaline takes over. You don't feel the pain, and then all of a sudden you feel the pain. I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything that would make me think he's going to be hampered. Right? I thought that he played. I thought he played strong off of it. I thought he could push off of it. You know what I mean? Obviously, down the stretch, he made some big plays down the stretch. So I think he's okay. It's going to be sore. There's no doubt about it. And it'll continue to be sore. And it probably won't be fully healed until whenever the Knicks are eliminated from the playoffs. That's when, he'll get time to rest and it'll heal, so on and so forth. But I mean, what can you say, man? Nice comeback for Jalen Brunson, you know what I mean, to come back and help lead the Knicks to a victory tonight or today over the Denver Nuggets. Julius Randle, he had 20 points. He wasn't, raining, dropping buckets like we've seen him do, but he had his 20 points and 8 rebounds, 7 or 8 rebounds. But I want to talk about RJ Barrett because I thought there was a point in the game when RJ Barrett really, really looked, I mean, for most of the game, he looked really good, right? Shot like 60-something% from the field today. What were your thoughts on RJ Barrett today? I thought he looked good.
He looked great. I think RJ has looked good the past 6 games, to be honest with you. Like, he's really been attacking the rim, relentlessly. His shot still hasn't been falling, the 3 ball, but he's been effective even with that 3 ball not falling. And he's not shying away from shooting the 3 ball. If he's open, he's still gonna put it up, but he's attacking the rim and he's finishing at the rim. which is the most important thing. It's foul or finish,
Right.
and that's what it needs to be with him: foul or finish or both. You,
Right.
you know, and I think that's his bread and butter. I think Tibbs spoke about it in the post game interview as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what we want from him: attack, attack, attack.
Right.
And he's figuring it out. Um, what's the old saying? Better late than never, right? And he's always late. He's always second half of the season always better. And it took him a little bit longer this year, but hopefully it trends into the postseason now.
Hopefully. Yeah, because the Knicks need RJ Barrett to be that third wheel. You know what I mean? You know what you're going to get from Brunson. You probably know what you're going to get from Randall. You need RJ Barrett to be that third wheel out there when either one of those guys, Brunson or Randall's not playing at a high level. You need RJ Barrett to be able to step in and play. And he's done so the past few games. Shot 61.5% from the field tonight. 4 rebounds, 2 assists. He was 5 for 6 from the free throw line tonight, RJ Barrett. So, a good, strong game for RJ Barrett. And guess what? He closed the game down the stretch. He closed the game. You know what I mean? He was he was shooting the ball well. He looked a little more spry. He looked a little more active to me tonight. You know what I mean? And he closed the game, because of his play out there on the floor. And that's what you got to do. You know what I mean? It's clear now that Tom Thibodeau is not going to, with RJ at least, he's not just going to put him out there because people want to see him out there. He's not going to put him out there because, he was the third pick, anything like that. He's going to get on the floor. He's going to play down the stretch because he is earning those minutes, which obviously is how it should be. You know what I'm saying? But kudos to RJ, and hopefully his play continues, you know what I mean? And he continues to, raise his level of play because it relieves pressure from Randall. It relieves pressure from Brunson. You know what I mean? It relieves pressure from both of those guys. And then, of course, it gives the Knicks another threat out there on the floor. Josh Hart is doing his thing, obviously. 13 points, 18 rebounds for Josh Hart. His addition to the team has been monstrous. It's crazy. The last time the Knicks played the Nuggets, Derrick Rose was getting major burn. You know what I'm saying? The teams were completely different. Well, at least the Knicks were completely different. The Nuggets were different too, right? They had Bones Highland at the time and so on. You know what I mean? But the Knicks, were, I think Evan Fournier was playing at the time. Derrick Rose was playing at the time. Obviously, they didn't have Josh Hart. The Knicks were figuring some things out, but they seem to have figured some things out. And you gotta like the way that they're trending. So I gotta ask you, Tony, how good? Look, the Knicks have beaten the Boston Celtics. They've beaten the Philadelphia 76ers. Right? They've beaten the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference. They swept the season series with the Denver Nuggets. Let me see. Who else have they beaten out in the West? They beat Sacramento
we haven't
once.
beaten the Kings.
oh no. Oh, did we lose? We lost to the Kings the first time? Okay, we haven't beaten the Kings then. All right.
Those are the Kings and the Bucks are the two teams that are on a hierarchy that we haven't beat.
Okay. We've beaten the Phoenix Suns. We haven't beaten the Grizzlies either. I think we lost to the Grizzlies both times. We beat the Suns. We beat Golden State. Who else did we beat in the Western Conference? These are teams in the middle to the bottom of the pack in the Western Conference, right? But, when you talk about powerhouse teams, the Denver Nuggets are certainly a powerhouse team. The Sacramento Kings, I don't know if we would consider them. I don't know who in the West are powerhouse teams right now, because the teams that we thought would be, the Phoenix Suns are not right now. The Dallas Mavericks are not. The Golden State Warriors are not. The Memphis Grizzlies, I mean, they're still winning basketball games without Ja, right? I guess you might consider Sacramento one of those teams, but the Knicks have almost the same record as the Sacramento Kings, right? If the Knicks were
Yeah,
in the West,
we would be tied with them as the 2 seed in the West.
oh yeah, if the Knicks were in the West, they'd be, yeah, the Knicks would be like a 3 seed or 4 seed or something like that, I guess, in the Western Conference. The Knicks are 42-30. Sacramento is 43-27. But the Knicks have beaten top teams. They haven't beat Milwaukee. They haven't beat Sacramento. But they have beat Denver. They beat Boston. They beat Philadelphia. They beat Cleveland. So where do you put them? Like where or how good can they be? Let me just put it there. How good are they? If you consider Boston, Philadelphia, Denver, if you consider them contenders, the Knicks swept Denver the first time they beat them. Jokic wasn't there, but today Jokic was there. They had their full squad. The Knicks beat Philadelphia when they had their full squad. They beat Boston. How good are they? I'm afraid to say the C word. Hardwell in the building. What's popping with you, my brother? I'm afraid to say the C word. But how good are they? Tony, how good are they? I'm going to come around to Hardwell.
I think we could compete with anybody in the East. Like, unfortunately, I mean, we were talking about it off air. Unfortunately, with the 4th seed, the 5th seed, no matter what, second round is going to be the Bucks, right? That's probably the toughest matchup for us in the Eastern Conference. But I'm still not scared of them. You know what I mean? I think we can make it competitive. But yeah, man, we could literally go toe to toe with, I think, anybody in the East. And I don't think there's a team in the East that necessarily is like, all right, we got the Knicks. Yes, we moving on to the next round, and that's including the Bucks.
I mean, I think
you know what I mean? Like
yeah, I
the
definitely
league has to respect us.
Yeah, I definitely don't think there's anyone who's saying, "Oh yeah, we got the Knicks." You know, no one is saying that, in my opinion. And I think the Knicks did beat the Sacramento Kings the first time they played in New York. I think the Knicks won that game. You know, so I don't know.
Matter of fact, we did, because my show was Sabonis on Randall's shoulders. I do that every time we beat Sabonis. So you are right.
Okay. Yeah, I think they won. Hardwell.
Salute,
Man,
salute.
what's
What's
poppin'
good,
with you?
y'all?
I'm good.
Salute,
How you
Tony
feeling, brother?
Pro. Salute, Sam. Good to see y'all. Shout out to the chat.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for having me. Man, we was just talking about it on our show, man. Like, I didn't see this coming. And I feel like when you see a team like our team, nobody really seen us coming. Like I was saying, I was on a podcast that has a bunch of people watching too. But you know, when you get a podcast that's not in New York, they don't really respect New York. And somebody on the panel had mentioned New York. This was before the season. Everybody went crazy and was like, "Get out of here!" And these dudes really get respected for what they think about basketball, but nobody saw this coming. So my point is that they scared when they meet up with us, when they see us coming, and it's like when you don't really got nothing to lose type of feel with us. And I think that coming in playing this type of team ball, everybody is getting woke up at the right time, getting acclimated. And we talked about it. When you winning, you got to find a way to contribute to what we have going on. And you don't want to bring something in that's going to mess up what we have going on. You kind of got to find a way to do what the team need to win. Josh Hart is a great piece. I talked about this earlier, how the bench is able to hold a lead and give the starters enough rest. So when they come back in the game, they could finish the game. If you remember before, Tibbs used to rush to put the starters back in because the bench couldn't hold the lead, but our bench wasn't really in place because we was, guys were injured and quickly had to go on the starting lineup. So we never really had a steady bench. But now with Hart and things the way it is and quickly getting, his chance to get more minutes and actually get into his groove, I think guys are coming alive at a great time. And I think it's just a great time to be a Knicks fan. if you ask me.
Yeah,
And
no
I think
doubt
the whole
about that.
NBA is on notice. Like ESPN and everybody, they've been wanting to cover us because of how big we are and the
Right.
conglomerate.
Right.
Now it's about basketball.
Right.
So you put basketball and you put the conglomerate together and you get the New York Knicks. And my last point, I don't care how we do, long as we compete, I'm imagining what we're going to do years to come. That's what I'm so excited about. It's just so.
So y'all are like me. You know what I mean? You know, we're not ready to say that they can contend. Yeah. The C word, right? We're not ready to say that yet. I know I'm not ready. Every time they take down one of these teams, I feel like I get pushed more and more in that direction. I'm not gonna lie. Every time they beat a team like this, you know, because coming into the game, I'm like, all right, we beat them the first time. Jokic wasn't there. I'm not saying the Knicks can't beat them, but I know it's gonna be hard. You know what I mean? And throughout the game, you know, the Knicks had a lead. I'm like, okay, you know, so I'm watching and I'm like, well, if they blow them out, maybe it just means Denver had an off night. But then Denver comes back, and then Denver takes a double-digit lead, and then the Knicks come back, right? And so to me, like that's the sign of that's a good basketball game. It swung one way, swung back the other way, swung back the other way. If the game kept going, it might have swung back to the Nuggets way. You know what I mean? And so they win while playing an imperfect game, right? Julius Randle shot 40% from the field. RJ shot well from the field, but he didn't shoot well from three. You know, so, you know, the Knicks won. They beat a really good team without really playing great. You know, and every time they do this, I'm like, I inch closer and closer to be able to say, man, maybe this team can contend.
But Sin, this
year,
this team is real. Think about it. Like you said, what you said about this game, that's been us all year long. Like look at the numbers, right? Look at the shooting numbers, how bad we are statistically, but yet our offense still in that top 10. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And when I hear people talk about it, the analysts and the like the people that study analytics, they're unsure how they like. I mean, you could look at the offensive rebounds, they could pinpoint why it is, but they've never seen this before. You know what I mean? So to me, it gives me great optimism because I know we could win games not shooting well. But when we start clicking it and shooting the ball well, we're gonna be a real problem. Teams are not gonna know what to do with us. 2 years ago, we won games with effort, right? Mm-hmm. Outworking teams.
Right.
We still got the effort, but now we got an edge. Now we got, and I think the edge is our two new additions, really, Brunson and Hart. Like Brunson, we've seen it from day one. Obviously, the edge he brought, the dynamic he brought. Now teams have to game plan totally different, right? You can't just focus on Randall and then thinking the cut the head off, the body's gonna fall. now you got another head that pops up, and Hart with his grit, you know what I mean? Like his just his energy it's infectious. So now you see Hartenstein doing a little extra effort plays. You know what I mean? You see RJ doing like the rest of the team is picking up on it. Like, oh, let me jump in the stands and try to save a ball. Mm-hmm. Mitchell Robinson, mm-hmm. like jumping in the stands to make a save. So I think it's just it's like chemistry all coming together at the right time. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think it's to piggyback off what you say. I think it's more like guys on the defensive end figured out more. You know, remember Tibbs always have a help defense where Mitch would stop the ball or whoever would stop the ball. I would notice guys wouldn't rotate to replace for whoever man stopped the ball. And now you would see guys rotating and moving. And, you know, also when you're playing more together in chemistry and you winning, guys are going to play better defense because they realizing that that's helping change the dynamic of who's going to win or who's going to lose.
Right.
The good part about us is, like you said, we always compete. Now we're stopping guys. We're shutting guys down. I notice we closing out more on jump shots. RJ's closing out. Everybody's closing out. Another thing I want to mention, why Sim keeps saying he keep getting confused about not wanting to rush state championship or not, but it looks that way. It's just like NCAA. It's wide open right now. Boston lost to the Magic. The Warriors lost 6 straight games on the road. All these teams that we expect to win is having problems right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be a team that you don't expect win the chip if they turn on at the right time.
Right.
It can happen that way. It's just like when the Bucks won in that year. Not saying that we have a team like that Bucks team, because I think no matter, like I said, no matter how it turned out for us, this is a great stepping stone. Before I even see playoffs, I already know this is a great stepping stone, because like what Tony said, you can't just worry about Randall. You got to worry about Brunson. Then you got to worry about our bench. Then you got to worry about RJ. Then you got to worry about Mitch. We got a few different things now on the table that you got to worry about. So I think that's the thing with the NBA now. You don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? The Clippers, Kawhi Leonard rested all this time. He looking all right. He going to be drained in another few games too, and the Clippers going to have problems too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If they come out the West, cool. I think we could beat the Clippers if we come out the East.
Right.
I'm just saying, or it'd be a good game. But that's part of my take. I wanted to say something in reference to what you said.
Yeah. Nah, man. Jay Beckton asked the question. He said, Sim, what will it take for you to say they can contend? That's a tough question, because I don't know if there's anything they can do in the regular season. I mean, it's in the back of my mind. You know, the more every time they take down a team, you know, I start to think, oh man, can they? And I'm asking myself the question. I'm not ready to go there because I got to see them do it in the playoffs. You know what I mean? You know, it all comes down to the playoffs and the way that if they can play like this during the playoffs. Now, if we get in that first round and they just look great in that first round, then I might be like, okay, you know what I mean? Maybe they can contend. Now, of course, like Tony was saying earlier, 4th or 5th seed, you know what I mean? If they win in the first round, they're playing Milwaukee in the second round. You know what I mean? And that's, you know, for anybody in the Eastern Conference, if you're playing Milwaukee in the second round, that's tough. I mean, that's going to be a tough 7-game series to win, no doubt about it, because you're dealing with Giannis, and you know it's going to be tough to deal with. You know, so I wouldn't. And then we'd have to look at, all right, how did they fare against Milwaukee if they had to play them in the second round? You know what I mean? Was it a quick out, or did they battle them down 6 to 7 games? You know what I'm saying? So I think it's going to take that for me to straight up say, yeah, this team is a contender. So I guess I wouldn't be able to say it this year. You know what I mean?
Not just yet.
Not just yet. Unless something really amazing happens and they just, these last, they got 10 games left? You know what I'm saying? These last 10 games just like really go on a tear. Then it might be in the back. Then I might be like, oh man, like they rolling going into the playoffs.
I think if they got you feeling like this, then this is kind of big. They have you like, I don't know, like type. How do we do against Milwaukee when we played Milwaukee? I mean, like they barely beat us. Remember, Drew Holiday hit them big shots toward the end to beat us.
Right.
They barely beat us. He hit some big shots. So it's like, I felt the same way you feel, Sim. And you know what I came up with? Just because I was just so happy of all the, me not predicting it, but still happy that my team is doing it. I had to come to the realization that, no, they can. Because after the playoffs and where we are right now, we all got to admit that it already stepped up another notch.
Yeah.
Because everybody is fighting for their seeding.
Yeah.
And we didn't trickle away.
Right.
So it's going to go up again. But remember, we going off all this momentum right now. And dudes are worried about us. So if I'm playing you, it's like a boxing match. I'm fighting you, and you're supposed to beat me. And I start coming in wailing on you. Who the pressure on? Pressure's on you.
Pressure's on you. Exactly.
And we got dudes who's ready to deal with the pressure now. So I'm just giving you, this is just my feedback on really the real situation with Milwaukee when you break it down. When we played them, cool. We know how we lost. But recently we've been doing decent after everybody turned it up a notch after the All-Star break. Trying to go, like they said, ever since the play-in, everybody's fighting earlier for seeded, which I love. and the Knicks didn't fade away.
Right. And they still got some battles left, you know what I mean, down the stretch of the season. You know, they're still going to be battling with some teams who are fighting for playoff positioning. I think they got Miami a couple of times, right? So you already know what kind of battle that's going to be with Miami. Let me see. Who else do they play down the stretch of the season? I'm trying to
We
pull
play
it up
Cleveland
right now.
again.
We play Cleveland
and
again.
Miami's in the they not playing well right now. Like they,
Right.
you know what I mean?
They
They
in the
fighting
play-in.
for their life.
Yeah,
They in the play-in. They lost again.
So
Bad.
looking down,
Bad.
looking down the stretch of the season. Well, I mean, we're down the stretch, but the last 10 games of the season.
Cleveland's the toughest game, and I was just going over with my friend. I think Cleveland's the toughest game, and people gonna think I'm crazy, but the next toughest game left is Orlando, in my opinion.
Orlando.
Like just
Nah,
because
you ain't crazy.
of the way Orlando's been playing as of late,
Nah, no doubt.
and they've been giving us trouble. You know what I
And
mean?
they just beat Boston too. You could throw that in there too.
Right.
They
just
beat
the
Boston. I think they just beat Denver. They've been on a nice little tear the past like 3 out of the last 5 games of theirs.
Yeah.
So those are my 2.
So they play Minnesota.
That's a good one.
Right. Next game, Monday, they
Ant
play
is out.
Minnesota.
Edwards hurt
Ant
his
is
ankle.
out.
Okay. They play Miami on Wednesday in Miami. Then they go to Orlando and play Orlando. Then you got the Rockets. Then they play Miami at home. And I had said, or even earlier in the season when we played Miami, that, you know, I felt like the Knicks were going to win that matchup this season. You know what I mean? I kind of had the feeling that, like, the last couple of years, the Knicks, they would battle Miami, but had a hard time getting over them. I kind of had a feeling of like a big brother, little brother type of thing, just because, you know, they got similar styles of play.
Hit puberty.
You know what I mean? And I felt like the Knicks grew up on them, and that's why they were going to surpass them this year. You know, and so far the Knicks have beaten Miami. I don't know if they're going to get both of these games because Miami's really going to be scrapping, but, you know, I think the Knicks at least get one of them. Then they play Cleveland, Washington, Indiana, the Pelicans, and Indiana. So we're looking at these last 10 games. It really isn't that bad of a stretch right here. I mean, they've gone through the toughest part.
They did it already.
Yeah. They've gone through the toughest part of the second half. They've been through it. You know what I mean? I mean, when you look
and fared well.
And fared well.
And this is a big
You know, every time we was like, yo, this stretch right here, stretch right here, we come in 2-2.
It's gonna be rough.
3-1,
Right.
4-0. You know what I mean? Every time.
I mean, since you look at February 11th, you know, it was, well, we can go all the way back to February 5th. I mean, they had a tough, what was supposed to be a tough schedule dating back to January, right? They lost to Toronto. Then they had to play Cleveland. They played Boston. They played Brooklyn, right? They beat Cleveland. They beat Boston. Lost to Brooklyn. Lost to the Lakers. Beat Miami. They lost to the Clippers. Then they beat Philly. They beat Orlando. Then they lost to Philly. Then they hit a stretch, right? They beat Utah. They beat Brooklyn, Atlanta, Washington, the Pelicans, Boston, Brooklyn, Miami, Boston, right? Then they hit that little 3-game skid. Now the Lakers, Portland, and Denver. So, yeah, they definitely have surpassed that tough part, the part that we all thought was going to be grueling, right? And they got out of it even better than when they went into it. You know what I mean?
Honestly, Sim, they doing what great teams do. Like they go on the streak, take a loss, and go on another streak.
Right.
Or that's what decent teams do. So I was saying that, you know, the Knicks streak ain't gonna last forever. So when they lose, let's see how long it take them to build another streak. And they did it, and I was like, whoa. And those were things that I used to set up for me to watch. And as they started accomplishing them goals, I started to feel the same way you guys feel. Like you said, we would say, oh, they're going on a rough trip and come back winning more games on the trip than we expected.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, we got to take all that in account. And then, you know, the game today, definitely these guys got to feel better about themselves. They playing on a high level right now. Another thing I caught today that Brunson said that, it was all about the rest. He had all those days just to rest his legs, and he came out like that in the first quarter. So I felt like this kid playing in the playoffs, if he healthy, like with a little bit of rest, that's how he's going to look.
Yeah.
And he know how to turn it up another notch in the playoffs, Brunson.
Yeah. He's been there. You know what I mean? Last season, he turned it up in the playoffs.
Big time.
And he turned it up heavy in the playoffs. As a matter of fact, most Knicks fans were looking like, damn, he's running them numbers up. He's making that contract bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger every time he stepped on the court. You know what I mean? He was killing it. So, and at that time, he was the guy, right? Luka was out. So for a little while, he was the guy, and they still couldn't game plan for him and stop him.
He took out Spider.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So, it when we talk about the playoffs, hopefully his ankle is strong enough. But when we talk about the playoffs, yeah, I mean, Brunson, I'm expecting him to step up. I mean, and because he's been there, he's probably been there more than everyone on our team besides Derrick Rose, but I'm talking about guys playing on the floor. I mean, Randall's been there once in the playoffs, RJ once, Obi once, Quickly once. I don't know about Hartenstein, you know what I mean? But these guys, those guys, Mitch once, they were there a couple years ago and got swept out the playoffs. Brunson's been there and advanced in the playoffs. That leadership, that experience that he brings to this year's team in the playoffs is going to be huge. You know what I mean? It's going to be monstrous for us. And, I think if the players, rally behind Brunson, I mean, who knows what they can do in the playoffs if they rally behind this guy. But this is where we're going to find out what they're really made of. You know what I mean?
Ball is in his hands, man.
Yeah.
That's the good part about it. At least we know the ball is in his hand.
Right. So
I'm excited.
Just back to that question that my man asked. What would it take either one of you to say this team is a contender? I mean, would you be able to say it this year, or do you have to wait until after the playoffs and then look at saying that next year?
Here's what I say. I think we could go on a Atlanta Hawks type run, get to the Eastern Conference Finals. You know what I mean? Make some noise. The difference is, I think, like Will said earlier, we're set up for the long term. So it's not about where we end up this year, because we building now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like we should be looking forward to perennial playoff team. You know what I mean? And that once you're a perennial playoff team, now from year to year, anything can happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not like, oh, can we get the play-in or can we get the 6th seed? You know what I mean? Like we know we in that mix year in and year out, projected by what we see on the court, knowing that these guys are locked up, knowing that we about to lock Hart up. I feel like we're gonna lock Quickly up. So everything's gonna be like solidified. No question marks moving forward. It's really gonna be about all right, what's the missing piece? You know what I mean? But the guys here, I feel like they have solidified roles and long-term futures.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well,
yeah, go ahead, Will.
I feel like we was talking about earlier, Sim. It just looks like there's no, like I was talking about the West. Nothing seems guaranteed to me, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like with injuries and anything being possible, like somebody just wrote in the chat, like stop it with Boston and these teams. We know what they are, right? But this is a great example, right? If we know we never would beat Boston the way we handled Boston this year, previous years, and we handled them the way we handled them this year, even when we went back to play Boston, people counted us out. People said we wasn't going to beat Boston. They was on ESPN saying, I think it was Will Barn and one of them, we know, stop it.
Right,
Boston's going to win that night. That's what they said that
Right.
night when we went in there and we beat Boston. These are the guys who talk on national TV about what's about to happen. They were wrong.
Right.
When I see stuff like that, You got to pay close attention. That's why Sim is close to saying he can almost say the C word because it looks so sketchy right now. It's a smoke
what I
screen.
mean?
Even the dudes who know the game, follow the game, coach the game, it look crazy right now. Don't sleep. If we get a certain break or opportunity, we can make a run. Like great point, Tony, when you said that Hawks run. That's a great example because it's when you make a run unexpectedly. And either way you look at it, we're going to come off a better platform than what the Hawks did because the Hawks, they always mortgage off what they have. We doing this having all these picks and money sitting in our possession. Right now, we doing this with picks and money right now. So like you said, Tony, we going off a stepping stone no matter where we go. But the NBA looks so sketchy right now. Now, I know you say the playoff piece, right? But check this out. Look at how we handling teams that we never handled the way we handled it before. So that means that we're playing on a higher level.
Right.
You could doubt us all you want, but be prepared. If we shock some people in the playoffs, that's why. Because the notch of the game going up can't go up but so much more after the All-Star break and people already fighting not to be in the play-in.
Right.
What's up with Miami then? Everybody got all this respect for them. They at the bottom trying to fight their way out the play-in. Oh, that don't matter neither? Stop it. Right. It's just we done been losing so long. We don't want to face that now. It's about to get real for us. We need to get off of that road and realize that it's about to change, Knicks fans. It's been bad for us so long. It's about to be lit. So be prepared.
It's one of those things where everything looks good.
Like, yo, I don't want to talk too soon.
I feel like something bad gonna happen. It's going too good
either way,
right now.
Tony, it's like we overachieving. Just like our Jets, our Giants, you know what I'm saying? They overachieve, so they setting us up. The New York sports is in a great space right now.
Up.
All around.
Word up.
All around.
Yeah, it is.
So for our Knicks to be, it's like they watching like, yo, we got to do our thing too, y'all. Like, and they are. So don't sleep on them. Like I said, anything could happen, bro. And I think now, one of my last point is going to be, we had so much bad luck in the past. Basketball has a lot to do with luck. Ball bounces, injuries, everything. And now it's our turn for the ball to bounce our way. And that's my last point. That's just what I think. I ain't talking too fast. I'm just saying, keep that in consideration.
I feel you. Hey, you, Montan, thank you for the super chat. He said the Bucks, the Celtics, both both playoff proven players. Stop it.
I just got his comment. That's who I just aired out, Sam. I just went at that comment right there.
Right. Right. And that's the thing. But the thing
Bucks
is,
got a championship, but the Celtics, what they won with those proven players.
Right.
And you talk about Jason Tatum and a Brown. Now, granted, obviously they were young and they growing and they getting better, but they haven't won anything, and they've been, crowned the next duo for how many years now? Yeah. Going back to before Kyrie to after Kyrie to finally making it to the final, but they ain't proved nothing. They've been a perennial playoff team.
How did the Bucks come up? They stayed down until they came up.
Right.
Think about that. They stumbled across that win. Nobody predicted the Bucks to win that year. Yeah. Stop it.
And the thing is, like all of those, the two teams he mentioned, there was one point in time when those players were not proven playoff players. How else do you become proven? You get into the playoffs and you upset some people. That's how you become proven playoff players. I mean, it happens. That's how it happens.
And it's only one winner, Sam, anyway.
Exactly.
The Bucks in particular, they had to go out, get that missing piece. You know what I mean? Get that Drew Holiday, that, you know what I mean? Implement Middleton. Like, they had to build to that. So, we building. Let's enjoy this.
Yeah,
it's a process and luck. Let's enjoy this.
Yeah, let me get to this phone call. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Yeah, it's Joe from Long Island. How you doing, Tim?
Oh, I'm good, Joe. How you feeling, man?
Feeling good. I have a question for the panel, though. We know that, in order to be successful in the playoffs, you need to have a couple of things, like, good players, like, in a will, like, a good will to win.
Mm-hmm.
We know we have good players. We know we have a will to win. Now, my question to you guys is, what do you think is the best path, like, to the ECS, like, because a lot of things have to align in order for us, like, to win.
The best path for
right?
the Knicks.
So what do you guys think is the nice, like, the better path, like, to the ECS? Because we have the good players and we have a will to win, and we can beat anybody basically, you know. So what is the best path, like, to the ECS?
So you're saying the best path in the playoffs for the Knicks to win? That's what you're saying.
Yes, like, to get to the Eastern Conference Final, and
Oh
because
man,
we have what it takes. I'm not worried about Boston. I'm not worried about Milwaukee. I'm not worried about anybody because it's been proven that we can match up, like, against those guys. But we don't have to beat, like, Milwaukee, Boston. Like, Milwaukee can beat Boston, like, but which one, like, you feel like, it's the best matchup for us, like, to get there.
okay. So I mean, first round, basically, where we are. I think Cleveland is a good match. I think we can beat Cleveland. I'm not saying that they can't beat us, but I think we can beat Cleveland without a doubt. Based on where we are right now, and it's looking like we're going to be. I'm not ruling out the fourth seed yet, but fourth or fifth seed most likely is where we end up.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if there's any other path for us to really take. If we land fourth or fifth seed,
Second round.
the only other path for us to take is to play Milwaukee. That's it. You know what I mean? Now, if can the Knicks get to the third seed? That's tough. Philadelphia would really have to fall off. While the Knicks
Okay.
continue to ride high and Philadelphia fall off, you'd have to leapfrog Cleveland and Philadelphia, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you'd be playing, if the Knicks were to get to the third seed, you'd be playing Brooklyn or Miami in the first round. You know what I mean? That would be probably the easiest way for the Knicks to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, because you'd play Brooklyn or Miami, and then, you wouldn't play Milwaukee in the second round. You'd
speaking,
play
I'm
Philadelphia or someone in
or,
the second round. But looking at where the
Or
Knicks
fall
are,
into 6.
honestly speaking, I'm not really worrying about who we're playing in the first round because for the team that we have, I feel like, we're going to pass the first round, regardless of, like, whether we have home court or we play Cleveland or anybody. I feel like, it's a given that, we're going to pass the first round. I'm more worried about, like, second round, like, who I'm going to play in the second round. Like, basically, I'm looking at those teams. You understand?
yeah, I get it. But basically, the seed, where we fall as far as seeding, it's going to depend on, what we do in the next round, who we play in the next round. So that's either going to be, it's either going to be a Milwaukee or someone like Boston, Philadelphia.
I would love Boston.
I mean, I wouldn't mind playing Boston in the second round, to be honest with you. I think we match up with them well. It would be a battle. I think it would probably go 7 games, and I think the Knicks would have a chance to beat Boston. You know what I mean? But I mean,
Same. I don't want to sound crazy. I'm quoting you. I don't want to sound crazy, but based on what I'm seeing, what I've just watched tonight,
mm-hmm.
we just played the best team in the West. And
in the West,
if you watch the game, basically, we have nothing to worry about. If we can manage, like, to play like that against, like, anybody in the East, it's a guarantee that we're gonna get at the East. And if we can get at the East and make it to the final, anything can happen. And
yeah. I mean,
I'm willing to bet, like, on my team.
Right. I mean, I get it. You still got to remember it's a 7-game series, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is where
that's the only difference.
Yeah.
From beating a team one night and playing a team in a 7-game series could change the dynamic of, you know what I mean? Because you're separating men from boys, and the Knicks could beat a team any night, but to play a team in a series like that, they're gonna have to win a certain amount of games to come out, and that could go to 7. It's gonna go, even like Sim said, even against Cleveland, it could go to 7. You know what I mean? Because we matched up good against Cleveland with the bigs. They got the bigs. We hit the boards. They hit the boards. Boston, we play better against because Boston can't play that style that we play. You know what I mean? So,
right. And we haven't seen, what this particular team can do in a series. We haven't really had a chance to see. I mean, I guess, when they played Atlanta a couple of years ago, maybe you've seen a glimpse of it. But the Knicks, there were so many pieces that they didn't have when they played Atlanta in the first round a couple of years ago. They have these pieces now.
I totally agree with
you. Yeah, they have more pieces now. So
it
now
was
in
a
a 7 games,
5-3, like when we play Atlanta.
Yeah, so now in a 7-game series, it comes down to coaching too. You know what I'm saying? And now it's when we really find out how good of a coach Tom Thibodeau and that coaching staff. We find out how good they are now, and when you get to the playoffs, and you've got to make adjustments. Everybody always talks about in-game adjustments, and I get it. In-game adjustments are really, really hard, though, to be honest with you, because when you're in the midst of a game, sometimes it's impossible to see what's exactly happening. You know what I mean? When you watch the game on video, you see it from a different angle. You don't have the intensity of the game. You don't have the anxiety of the game, and you can see it a little bit different. And then that's when you make your adjustments. You know what I mean? Now, if you're playing just one game, you can't make an adjustment for the next game. You know what I'm saying? Because you're playing a different team, unless you in one of those situations where you're playing a team back to back. But in the playoffs, the next night, the next time you play, you're playing against that team. And so this is where those adjustments really come in. You know what I mean? And we're going to find out how good our coaching staff really is in these playoffs this year, because they have talent on the team to battle and to fight, you know what I mean, and to advance in the playoff series. They have the talent. I don't know if they really had it back then, but they have it now. So we're going to find out how good this coaching staff really is. You know what I mean?
I can't wait for the playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Joe, I appreciate your time, man. Thank you for the call.
Thank you, Sam. You guys are doing a very good job.
Appreciate you, my brother. Peace.
All right. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, Tony. How do you feel about that? What I just said, the coaching staff and the coaching staff going into the playoffs. We're talking about the players, a lot about the players. How do you feel about the coaching staff going into the playoffs?
I'm confident in Tibbs' game-to-game adjustment more than in-game adjustment, but it's got to be some credit in the fact of how we've performed in-game this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've seen us go down in like early in games. Obviously, some adjustments have been made within the game for us to come back and win some of those games we were down early. You know what I mean? We've seen us losing games down the stretch early in the season, and then that started to turn around. So we figured out how to close out games and not give up games. So without having details to say, all right, he made this adjustment, this adjusted this, and just looking at the team and the games as a whole, I feel a little bit more confident about. I think the in-game adjustment thing may be more of a narrative that I've just adopted because I've heard it so much, more so of me witnessing, like, all right, Tibbs doesn't make adjustments within the game. So overall, I'm confident. And then you look at Tibbs in particular with work ethic and film breakdown. Like every time we hear a Knicks player talk about the preparation that Tibbs puts in, you know what I mean? It's high praise. Oh,
Yeah.
he has us ready for this team. He knows what they do. We know what they do because of film session. So I'm positive in the coaching staff and as overall. You know what I mean? I would have to see something in the game for me to be like, why did he do this? Right. And we've had those discussions here and there, but it's not game in and game out.
Yeah, nah, definitely. Will, how you feeling about the coaching staff going in?
Well, I feel like we got to kind of give them a chance to see what they're going to do in the playoffs and then judge them off of that. instead of, even though I feel like they're going in with a good momentum for what we're doing right now. And everybody, winning helps a lot. It helps you basically pull off what we're doing right now, like pull everybody together, do your job well. Like I see coaches going to players, talking to players individually and getting them ready for where we are and making them ball the way they're balling right now. Now, when they get on that playoffs in the series, like you mentioned, they have to figure out how to beat a team. So you got to know, you may lose a game, you may lose a couple games. I mean, that's a lot more coaching involved in a series, reference to just beating the team in the game, like y'all broke down. Reference to having to plan for the next team and planning for the same team. And I think the upside that we have is our bench and other players that's starting to contribute and help us win. And I would credit the coaches for that because they calling on those guys and they putting those guys in position to help the team. So if they continue to do that and we get a couple wins, I think they will build more, positive energy in the playoffs. And we'll use this as a stepping stone for those guys because this is the first time even, to me, with Brunson being new on this team, this will be his first time in the playoffs with this team. Even though he's been with Dallas, I feel like they're still going to have to learn with this crew and as well with the coaches. It's still a stepping stone for me. I'm still really excited to see how it play out, though. Even though, like, I don't want to give them too much credit for what they did so far because there's still so much more to do. Even though let's not dance around like they don't deserve credit because if we never saw them to be in this position, they deserve a lot more credit than we was giving them credit for. You know what I mean? We'll be clear about that. You know what I mean? But they still got a lot more to accomplish. So if they go in the playoffs and they shock us some more, then we got to throw some more credit down, double down on the credit on them again. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's how I'm kind of looking at it.
And I've been okay with the coaching staff all season long. I've seen a lot of people complain about, these certain players not playing, not using, the offense not being this or that. You know what I mean? I feel like Tibbs pushed a lot of buttons this year, pushed a lot of the right buttons this year. You know what I mean? And like even early in the season, taking out Derrick Rose, one of his favorite players ever, not putting him out there on the floor, not playing Evan Fournier. I think he did a lot of things to push the right buttons. There were points, well, I guess you would say last year, when Emmanuel Quickly was playing so bad and people wanted him out the lineup, Tibbs rocked with him. You know what I'm saying? Now we've seen the fruits of that. You know what I mean? Like that's coaching too. That's coaching too. You know what I'm saying? Now we've seen the fruits of that. During the season this year, RJ closed the game against Denver today. But obviously throughout the season, there were times when RJ wasn't closing games. And there's going to be more games he doesn't close. And he went with Quickly and Josh Hart and Quentin Grimes. You know what I'm saying? So, he's done some right things, I think, to push buttons to help the Knicks get to where they are. I agree. There's still a lot more to prove. You know what I mean? Because the playoffs is, just totally different when it comes to coaching and strategizing for teams because you're playing that team every night. So now there's a lot more, you know what I mean? Like, because you can play a team tonight and you don't play them again for 3 weeks. So your focus is now on the next game, the next game, the next game, the next game. And then when you get to that team, you say, well, this is what happened last time, so we're going to try to do this. But guess what? They could be, the last time you played them, they could have been hot from the three-point line. Now they're on a streak where they're not hot from the three-point line. They could have different players out there on the floor, all kinds of things going on. So
somebody might have been injured.
Right.
Somebody might be injured now. Somebody stepped up who wasn't in the game plan before that you have, you know what I mean? You don't even have the scouting report on, really.
You know what I'm saying? So
how do we respond if we lose? Pardon me, Sam. How do we respond if we lose? Say we lose 2 games on the road, right? In a 7-game series, you lose the first 2. Do we come back and win?
Right.
Because it ain't like, you know what I'm saying? We never lost at home or dudes don't come on. Even though the narrative has changed, because I think we've won 8 on the road. I mean, at home and lost 1 or 2, something like that. But I'm just saying, what if we lose 2 in our first 2 games? We got to come back and win our next 2 games to be in this series.
You know what I'm saying? So
that's not like a regular
Right.
Season.
Right. You know, it's way different.
Pressure.
Right. So now, you know, you have the same team that you're game planning for. The players, unless somebody gets hurt, right? For the most part, the players that you played on Monday, you're gonna play on Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, some things might be trending from Monday to Wednesday as far as shooting and things like that. So, you know, that game planning and strategizing comes in way more when you talk about the playoffs. So I'm really interested to see how this coaching staff is going to do, you know, when the playoffs get here. I'm throwing that whole Atlanta series out the window because I just don't feel like the Knicks had the team. They didn't have a team. They didn't have the players. They didn't have the talent. So I don't know how much Tom Thibodeau really could have done in that series. You know what I mean? Maybe there are some things he could have done, but I don't know.
And not Randall by himself.
Right.
And it's crazy. Think about that Hawks series. Who was our best player? Derrick Rose, right?
In the series, yeah.
In that series.
And he's not even in our rotation right
now.
But think about how much how valuable he was to our team. And here he is, you know what I mean? Like, not even in the rotation.
Yeah.
Like that's how much of a change, an upgrade our team has become.
Yep.
And nobody can question that.
No doubt.
And the other thing I wanted to mention, you mentioned twice how RJ closed out the game today. You know who else closed out the game today? My guy Mitchell Robinson, who hasn't been closing out games.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Yep. And Hartenstein played a hell of a game today.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And if Hartenstein closed, he would have deserved to close as well.
Right.
You know what I mean? But Tibbs went back with Mitch, and Mitch had some big plays down the stretch.
Yeah.
Steals, you know what I mean? I think he had a block. You know, the lob at the end.
The oop at the end.
The oop at the end.
Like, come on.
And you know what?
You know, after all the little controversy, you know what I mean? Came in and
we didn't even need a bucket. That's Brunson. Credit to Brunson because we didn't need a bucket. He ran down and said, "You know what? I'm gonna give Mitch this oop." And I was like, "That was dope."
Yeah.
Because I liked Mitch's reply about how he didn't mean no harm. You know, and that happens. I think the main thing is we human. You make a mistake, take accountability, move on. And I like how that played out with the
not only with him, but also with coach with Tibbs talking about it. You know what I mean? Like so now it's like let's nip this in the bud. Let's get over it. Let's move past it. No distractions. We don't need no.
Yeah, it's a lot of positives with this team.
It is.
It's a lot of positives with this team right now, bro. I gotta admit that, man. And one last thing I want to give Tibbs credit for was figuring out how to still get RJ back together by putting him with that second unit when he wasn't playing him in the fourth. Because I heard y'all was talking about giving the coaches credit for certain things. I wanted to point that out there because finding a way to because that boy was in his head with Brunson and everything that was going on. Put him with the second unit so he could still get his off. And now he's playing better with the starters. And now he's on the court again at the fourth quarter.
Right.
And I think that's good. That shows growth. That shows adversity for the young boy. And like Sim said, Tibbs bench people. He didn't play roles. Fournier haven't been playing. These are things that we didn't expect. We didn't see this coming. We got to admit that. Remember, Tibbs came in saying Fournier was starting. Just think about that.
Right.
Fournier
we made a complete 360.
He broke the 3-point record last year for the organization.
Right.
But
that ain't mean nothing if he's sitting over there, Tone.
But that's my point. That's my point. It's like Derrick Rose impact 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Like you come in and have an accolade that is cemented now in the record books. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you still gotta earn your keep. You know what I mean? You still gotta do what you gotta do to get your minutes. So I mean, it's nothing is given on this team.
Nah,
nothing.
That's
is
the
given.
best type of team to have as a coach, knowing that you could have it competitive like that, like have a good bench and starters, and everybody could compete like that, and it could be like that. Where I could take you out and use your teammate as an example to say, "This is all I wanted from you. This is why I took you out," and that's what he did to RJ and them. That's why I said if Tibbs keeps that consistently and he don't just do it for certain people, that can really make people hold people accountable the right way. And that's coaching at the highest level. And that's what it should be. You get paid all this money. You're not doing what I want. You want to sit down. This kid give me what I want.
Right.
And then now we winning without you. You got to give us whatever you could to help this team now, because you want to be a part of this, right?
Right.
And that's basically what it led to.
Yeah.
That gives us an advantage.
Yeah, my man. Well, I was getting to you. Walter White. I ain't forget about you. I was getting to you.
I heard
he was like, yo, I gotta jump in.
I got to get off mute.
Yeah, go ahead, man. What's popping with you, bro?
We cooking up.
Man,
there.
I'm good, man. Another night, another win. And Denver had the nerve to be giving us 1.5 in our house. You think I ain't gonna take that?
Yeah.
Oh man.
So how you feeling, man?
But yeah, I'm feeling good. I just want to touch on a few of the subjects you was going through. Yeah, you right when you said it's all on the coaching staff, man. The coaching staff have to be, because like you said, we got the weapons. We got Fournier. We need if the threes not falling, you need some threes or four for Fournier in. It's the playoffs. You ain't got nothing to lose. It's not no other games. Or you trying to develop. You trying to win by any means possible. You know what I mean? So you got Fournier, McBride. You even got Rose, and Rose, like, I would give him some playoff time. Like if it was looking like what we was doing wasn't handling it, I would give him some playoff time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Man, the path to the you had a previous caller talking about the path to the playoffs. Like, we cannot worry about the path. We got to worry about winning the last at least 7 or 8 of these last 10 games. Mm-hmm. And if we do that, I think we can contend with anybody. I think that will kind of like make us, for this year, contenders. You know what I'm saying? Boston and Philly, Milwaukee, they still battling. Boston and Philly only 2 games behind them. They got 10 games left. Boston they lost by 1 point tonight. They could have been 1 game behind them. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, you don't know what's going to happen with that. So if Boston or Philly could take that top spot from Milwaukee, then everybody talking about, oh, we should drop to the 6th spot, or who we got to play. You don't know who's coming up. You know what I mean? You don't know who's going to be in the next round. All you could really kind of like focus on is tomorrow's game, you know, or Monday's game versus Minnesota. You can't focus on that other stuff.
Nah,
I understand, like, people. Right.
You still there?
Nah, go ahead.
Nah. We was just agreeing with you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And everybody talking about, like, after we win, or if whatever we do this year, people talking about they want to fire Tibbs, right? That's another thing I wanted to say about the coaching staff. But they gave him a 5-year contract. If he can get us to the Eastern Conference Finals in this 5 years, we already know that he's for us, want to be here, and doing his best, the best that he can. You know what I'm saying? You gotta let him live. And people talking about getting what's the next free agent we gonna get? I think we need to get a podiatrist on this training staff immediately, because the feet game, like, you know what I mean? We got to get something going on, man.
Yeah, nah. I mean, that don't count against the cap, luckily.
Exactly.
Yeah, that doesn't count against the cap. You know what I mean? But yo, Walter, I'm glad. I appreciate you for being patient. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate you for being patient.
No doubt.
Thank you for your time. I know I think I got a couple other people on the line waiting. So, you know, I'm gonna jump off, but I appreciate you, my brother.
All right, no doubt.
No doubt. You know, another thing I wanted to mention, you were talking about, you know, Tibbs, basically, you know, treating guys, if you're doing the job, you're gonna play. But he's also, and guys know this, and kudos to guys that understand this, he has his rotation, he has his people, right? And he's going to rock with them. If somebody's hurt, you might jump into the lineup. If they come back, you're falling out the lineup. Look at Deuce, 18 points versus Portland. Got a DNP tonight. You know what I'm saying? And Deuce is going to take it like a champ and be ready for the next time his number is called. You know what I mean? And I feel good that we have guys down the end of the bench that can come in and produce the way that Deuce did. He's not always going to give you 18, right? But he can come in and play defense and produce. Jericho Sims, you know, if Mitch or somebody goes down, you feel confident that he can come in and produce. You know, like that's a luxury to have. And the coach feels confident that they can come in and produce because he knows they're both going to do it. You know, Sims is going to be able to rebound the ball, play decent defense, and you know what kind of defense Deuce is going to give you. You know what I mean? So he feels confident that these guys can come in the event somebody goes down. That's just a luxury to have.
Sim, even the infamous Fournier comeback game.
Yep.
You know, and he knew. They asked him, "Hey, you think this is a cheat?" He was like, "No, it was a nice little one night stand." You know what I mean? Like even he understood. Hey, I got my opportunity. Somebody went out. I came in, but it's not. You know what I mean? I'm back to where situational until the next time he needs me to come in and step up.
Yeah, and you know, guys understand that though, and that's important too. Like they understand it, and Fournier wasn't asking for, you know, to get out of here. Rose wasn't asking to get out of here. You know what I mean? They get it. Hey, this is my role on the team, and when my number is called, I gotta be ready. Yeah, it does. Yeah,
and the team is doing good too. So what would you?
How could you argue?
Like that means they made the right decision. Like how could you?
I actually think them wanting to stay here for whatever reasons it may be. I think that speaks more volume than if they wanted to leave. Because I think even if they wanted out, no one would have faulted them. You know what I mean? Nobody would have looked at it with a side eye. I mean, like another player or another organization, like, oh, what are they doing? You know what I mean? But the fact that they want to be here, they don't want to get moved. You know what I mean? They want that says a whole lot more. You know what I mean? Knowing that they're in a situation where they're not playing, but they want to be here.
But they still want to be
here. You know
what
I mean? That says a lot more.
Yeah. Ricardo, thank you for the super chat, my man. I appreciate you. He says, salute Sim in the panel. These playoffs are going to tell us exactly where we are and exactly what we need. These playoffs are going to be real big and give us all the answers we need going forward to the future. Yeah, no doubt about it. You know what I mean? That's exactly what these playoffs are going to do. You know, Flow Hypnotic, thank you for the super chat. He said we did beat the Kings in December 112-99. Yep. I think we did catch that one. Yep. Kevin Bergen said, the last time I tried to look past a team or a round in the playoffs, it's the 50-win team. We lost to the Pacers. I told myself never again. Take every team serious. And I think that's something that Tom Thibodeau and the coaching staff, I don't think they let these guys take any team, you know, lightly. I think they take every team serious. Even when they, you know, lose a game or whatever, I don't think it's because they take the team lightly. You know, I think they take everybody pretty serious. Hopefully, and I'm pretty sure they're going to do the same thing as they jump into the playoffs. You know what I mean?
They can't. I feel like we used to play down, Sim. We don't play down no more.
Not anymore. We
don't play down anymore.
Right. We used to.
We don't. People just, you know what it is? We've been Knicks fans for so long. Some of the OGs, it's like, you can't believe it now. It's like, nah, this can't be true. We've been let down so many times. But it's just a new day. Like I said earlier.
Yeah.
Get ready. It's a great time to be a Knicks fan.
No doubt. Stanley Mann said, I think Tibbs needs to expand the rotation to give Deuce minutes against Cleveland. I guess he's talking about it in the first round. How do you guys feel? Do you think Tibbs should expand that rotation? I mean, right now we're winning ball games. I say stick with what we're doing.
I think what you said, I wanted to say that too. In reference to what you said about him playing guys, I think that just gave them enough minutes to have them prepared for the playoffs. So when he do got to plug them in, because you notice when you see the playoffs, coaches plug in guys that you don't expect them to plug in.
Mm-hmm.
Or you see other teams doing stuff, they got an ace in the hole or they got a trump card. So it's like Deuce could definitely be a trump card because he guards up.
Right.
And you only need to put him out there to startle somebody.
Right.
So I think the advantage that we have now is that guys been playing enough time this season. It's not like the other season where they were just getting way too less minutes.
Yeah.
Now they kind of got prepared, whether it was through injury or whatever. They played this season because it was like when Rose and everybody got sat down in Fournier, he had to see what all these other guys had. The team went through that process. And through that process, there was some of the guys sitting there that deserved more minutes, and they got more minutes throughout that process. So I feel like if he do plug in anyone, they will give us something because they got a lot of minutes in the regular season, and they did decent, and they was able to grow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sims, Hartenstein,
I mean,
McBride.
when you think about it, Deuce, I think, started a couple games this season,
Deuce.
right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, Sims we know started in place of Mitch, and Hartenstein started some games. So, I mean, these guys been out there in moments, you know?
That's real development. Exactly.
And Fournier started the season too.
Yeah. I mean, these guys been out there. I mean, Deuce finished the game against Portland, and that was a game that went down the stretch. Right? He finished that game. You know what I mean? So, you know, these guys have played big minutes. So, yeah, they will be mentally prepared. It's not going to be like, you know, when he threw Frank Ntilikina out there to try to stop Trae Young on a last-second shot or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to be ready to go because they've been playing. You know, they've been getting some bump in big moments. You know,
and it's like a Quickly. You could just think, how could you think what Quickly gonna do in the playoffs? He gotta have a come out game, and like, off of what he's been doing right now, it's really no pressure on him because the pressure is on Randall Brunt, the starters. He could come in and just shoot now, and I think that's what I love about how they got Quickly in this position where come and play your game. Yeah. You don't have to worry about if you got a shot, take it, and I think that's the type of Quickly that we need. You know what I mean? He makes more shots like that. He'd start doing all that. Like my man Jay Boogie said, quickly.
Right.
Be like, yo, what is he doing? Like, yo, bro. It's funny.
Kelly, I just enjoy it. I enjoy it. I don't even care no more. Go ahead, have fun out there, man.
Yeah, I love it too,
like
though.
that. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be doing it with you, bro.
No doubt.
Word. Y'all be yelling so loud. I know they be like, yo, this guy's crazy. What is he yelling for?
Kelvin Jones, he said the second unit is lit. He said, I call them the Rat Pack because they be clawing and scratching us back into games. Yeah, that's the kind of team, you know, that's Josh Hart. Emmanuel quickly turned himself into one of the best defenders in the NBA. Yeah, that's what they're built to do, man. That's what they're built to do. No doubt. But anyway, it's 12:06, man. I'm gonna get up out of here, ladies and gentlemen. But I think it's been a great show. Will, I appreciate you for coming through. Tony, I appreciate you for coming through. Any last words or announcements you guys want to make before we get out of here?
We're gonna do the Losers Lounge tomorrow night.
Yes, sir.
So you know, be prepared for that. So we sent them to the Losers Lounge. That's it. Let's get this next one Monday.
Yeah, Losers Lounge tomorrow. Just stay tuned for the notification. You'll see what time. Well,
yeah, I'm just gonna say thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Look forward to coming back, kicking it with y'all a lot more. My show is For the Love of the Game with the number 4 first. OUR, the love of the game. Subscribe, come check me out. But you'll see me here a lot more chopping it up with Sam and Tony Crow. Dope show. Shout out to the chat and everybody checking in. And shout out to the Knicks, man, and the coaching staff, man. Like, it feels so good right now, Knick Universe, man. Wake up, man. We used to lose sleep for these Knicks. Y'all don't know that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, some of y'all people don't know that. I sleep so good now.
What? No,
like,
I'm
yo, it's
you.
like,
I'm telling you.
Oh, I can sleep.
Yeah.
Right, Sim? I know Sim sleeping good. He won a chip with his team, and the Knicks
playing well.
Sim getting good sleep.
Yo, no doubt. Yo,
That's why he said it's 12:06, y'all. I'm trying to go give you some good sleep.
Yo, you know I love the way Ron says your name the best, right? Ron from Still Knicks fan. You know, every
What he
time
say?
it's for OUR, the love of the game. He be killing it when he says it. For OUR, the love of the game.
Yo, and make sure y'all support Ron, and I shouted
No
out
doubt.
on my show. You know, he got that for his wife. If you could go to the GoFundMe, go support Ron and his family, man, if y'all could, man. This is a small Knicks community. Let's support each other, y'all.
No doubt about it.
I just want to let y'all know
No doubt
that
about it.
from
As a
the
matter of
heart. I
fact,
love Ron.
I'll put
I
that
love
link.
everybody in the community.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Queen, all the shows, Freezy, everybody show Gammo. I don't want to leave nobody out.
Eru.
Everybody.
No doubt
Shout out
about
to
it,
everybody
man.
from your boy Hardwell.
No doubt about it. And we'll put that link in the description, too, for Ron and his family. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
But ladies and gentlemen, we're out of here for the night. We appreciate you. And, catch us in the Loser Lounge tomorrow. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When send past the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.